I thank the chairman. I thank the witnesses. Appreciate you all being here. Let me just ask this question among the four of you, and I think I know the answer. And I'll start with you, Mr. Tolman, and I'll move across the panel. Is there any legitimate reason why we should not have the warrant protection included in a reform to FISA? Mr. Tolman.
No, and in fact, the reasons stated are illegitimate. You take the argument that the FBI can do it themselves. That I've never believed in the Fox being able to analyze and control what the Fox does in the hen house.
Sure.
Absolutely. There's no reason not to include it. It should be included.
I think that it is a must-have thing if we're going to go and reauthorize FISA.
Ms. Coating.
No reason not to include it.
Okay. And with all due respect to, I think we had one of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle who was expressing some concerns about not having somebody from the intel community here. Like, the intel community are the ones running the show, including, by the way, with all due respect, a lot of our colleagues on the intel committee here who are a part of the show. And judiciary exists to focus on the Constitution and the rights of citizens to not have this occur. And that's why the chairman is absolutely correct to have this witness panel. And I would just note that all four witnesses, including the Democrat witness, just said there is no legitimate basis for us not to include a warrant protection requirement in FISA reform. And I want that to ring through the halls of Congress between now and April, so that when we are forced with the vote that is inevitably going to occur on this issue, that we not have what happened almost 2 years ago, where we left the American people without the protection the Constitution affords them from a tool that is being used on a bipartisan basis to target the American people and collect their data, which is offensive and it is wrong, and there cannot be this cloak of secrecy surrounding intel. And to that point, I wonder if Ms. Coating, you might be able to help me out here a little bit. I offered a couple of amendments to FISA last time, and one of which was to demand that we get all of the reports of the queries. And in that amendment, and I think we settled on quarterly. I wanted it to be monthly or whatever, regular reporting. And we gave them a year at their, wailing and gnashing of teeth that they wouldn't be able to get this done and figured out within a year. Okay, so that year expired last, I'll call it, spring. Well, do you know, and are you aware, have we gotten any kind of data and reporting information out of the System 1 efforts so that we can look at the data specifically with respect to these queries? Can you illuminate us?
I actually don't know the answer to that question in terms of what you have received from the FBI. It looks like Congresswoman Ross might. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm not sure if you're not getting the data that you're supposed to be getting under the law. Needless to say, that's a very serious problem.
Well, what we're advised of is that the System 1 is not even really recording these queries and set up in a way.
Yeah, I didn't. Sorry, the System 1 exactly. I mean that data. So what happened was that in, I think it was March of 2025, the National Security Division told the FISA court that it was currently coordinating with the FBI to determine whether any records of this functionality had been generated. So I think absolutely this committee should be following up on that to determine whether any such records were located. If not, whether they can be forensically reconstructed. That is information you should have.
And then I have a limited amount of time. I just want to stipulate for this committee that we need to see that data. We need to see the results of the queries. We need to be able to identify that information. And I want to see more changes in FISA to force more information and compel our ability to see it. And I would note also that we included provisions in there for the chair and ranking member of judiciary as well as leadership to be able to go into FISC proceedings. And that has been allowed pursuant to the law, however, the FBI has then stipulated at times that individuals would have to be removed and that they would need to leave for certain sensitive conversations, which, by the way, the statute never contemplated. And what we passed did not contemplate, that members of Congress who have full clearance, that in the statute, they are supposed to be able to go in there in these FISC proceedings and monitor them, The FBI has no basis, whether that was the FBI under the Biden administration or the FBI under the Trump administration, to then say it's too sensitive, members of Congress need to leave these proceedings. So whatever we do in both carrying out our oversight function of the executive branch, or whatever we do in FISA reauthorization, unless we let it expire, per Mr. Tolman's, I think, wise advice, that we need to make sure that if we're putting members of Congress in there to oversee this stuff, the FBI doesn't walk in and say, sorry, you've seen enough, you can't see the rest of this. That is just facially absurd. I yield back to the chairman.
Gentleman yields back.